to enemies who try to capitalize on her vulnerability. D.Va is an in-your-face disruptor who fearlessly charges into battle and does whatever it takes for the win.
Game number 3 about to commence here between Dignitas and Tempest as we get all the way through this series. Wouldn't have it any other way. And so far, so many best of 3s actually going the whole hog here in the group stage, which goes to show that it is a very fierce competition here for the HGC 2017 finals. To my left-hand side, Skimmy. Wade. I actually said Wade. That's
weird. That's spicy.
And then we have Trixler down at the very end. Gentlemen, we now have a series on our hands here. Dignitas. Well, actually, we can in fact find out where we're going to go before I ask you any questions, because our battleground is going to be revealed as we go to Cursed Hollow. Wade, you were right on the money.
Yeah, we projected that we thought that Tempest would go to BOE if it was their map selection, or if it was Dignitas going to Curse. This is the #1 map that Dignitas has selected consistently throughout all of phase number 2, so it is no surprise there that they're going to pick that here for Tempest.
Exciting for me now. We get to see our teams be at full capacity, if you will. In game number 1, you could say maybe a misplay is why Dig lost. Game number 2, Dig got what they wanted. We saw some back and forth, but good control overall. And now moving into game number 3 is where the fireworks should be coming out.
All right, let's get into it then. Game 3, the draft begins as we have Dignitas going up against Tempest. Skimmy, you were part of that deduction as Cursed Hollow came into play.
Yeah, it's just risky, right? Because this series was touted to be one of the games to watch.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, given that they're putting the risk onto, hey, you pick whatever map you want, we're quite comfortable just to go for that first pick, what their eyes are on. I'm wondering if that Tesla being such a focal point is the direction they want to go. Or in this case, the Mirrodin, I was wondering, otherwise it could have been the Tyrael, but they're going to open up with the Dwarf Man himself.
I believe that's the highest priority. Obvious is the highest you can have, but we have not seen a Mirrodin that high or even close to that position. I think the farthest he's ended up making up is the 2-3 and first pick selection.
And I mean, teams were saying going into this tournament, yeah, he's extremely strong. He's definitely not going to get past that first rotation of picks. But potentially, as the tournament's progressed from days 1 to now 3, teams are thinking, actually, we can value this as a first pick.
Wow, Tassadar Tracer still coming through, even on a map like Cursed.
Yeah, coming out here on the side. You're going to see it from Snitch finally. Wow, Tracer, Tassadar, this high up in all 3 series. We know she's strong, but dang, man, very important for both of our teams here. How will Tempest intend to handle Tracer and Tassadar coming their way?
Sanctification is a tool that we have seen used, but Tyrael is yet to show himself, and with the high Mirrodin, I don't necessarily think that maybe Tempest would go into that direction. I do really like the fact that the Abathar banned out. It makes it to where you are suddenly not considering that kind of Deathball Mirrodin plus, you know, a follow-up to having a really high pressure onto the Tracer here. Other than that, though, I don't see anything that I immediately want here from Tempest. I'm just want to see if they're going to stick to, I guess I was going to say stick to the same strategy they had in the last game, but ultimately with the Tassadar Tracer taken out, are they going to focus more on like skirmish or more onto the macro? And it looks like they don't commit either direction, keeping it vague still here with the picks.
I was just going to say, Orioles are very comfortable here on their side, right? And this is a composition which then all revolves around, typically speaking, the Valor. We discussed it last time, how that matchup could work in favor of the Gloom to try and negate at least the standard portion of what Pulse Bomb brings to the table. But it feels like this Tracer Testar composition really is defining this series for the most part.
That it is here. At least you have Aegis for that Pulse Bomb that comes your way. Vala can be on the bottom lane with no support, and they can really control that side of the map. So there is skirmish potential, but you're right. The draft is very open-ended for Tempest, and they'll be able to react to what Dignitas grabs here. They should be grabbing another support, it feels like here, just to make sure that they have what they would like, because obviously Tempest would like to support themselves, and that they want to make sure that they're stacked up in that regard. But I'm more worried / interested in what tank they'll be moving into.
With the Tassadar Tracer, you almost always are going to want, again, the mobility to follow up with her, help her out. And I think ETC has been such a high priority hero, and the fact that we see the Mirrodin picked up as the first pick, ETC has not been touched for this, or even banned out so far. Yeah. I don't look at it as a must pick here for Team Dignitas. I'm just more really appreciating the kind of adjustments that both of these teams are making throughout this draft.
Do Dignitas just go into the little creative box of tools and go, hey, we'll just pick the Tyrael and deny it away from you? They're leaving it open-ended.
Yeah, leaving it open in and also having the global on a map like Cursed really helps out with those tributes and how you can make it happen. The biggest thing about those tributes and the advantage you can get with that global is you need to have an effective four-man. Tassadar, Tracer, Rhaegar, if really any hero, as long as it has a stun of some form, probably is going to be, or at least some kind of crowd control, is very, very threatening into the four. You can stall up very effectively here. So Tempest, they have to be a bit concerned on how these tributes are going to play out.
I'd actually be a fan of Li Ming in this rotation. Gives them some more poke, gives them the ability to then find that one shot. Potentially they can then predict where that recall will go for Tracer, take that hero right out of contention before that heal can come across. And would give them some displacement. And you should imagine it'd be Wave of Force to try and give them some protection, try and find a way to split the team apart, kind of like how Brightwing does with the Emerald Wind.
Isn't something like a heavier frontline though something that they would probably favor here?
If they wanted more damage, it would go more melee heavy for sure, something that gives you a little bit more engagement. It's kind of annoying for the other frontline to deal with, especially with that Tracer. It's going to be a Karazim, which we saw on display in game number 2 against Tracer. It wasn't too shabby. Tempest will have their own run-of-the-mill with that Karazim, and Arthas will be the final pickup.
The Arthas here, I'm a little bit... if he manages to get a flank, I think he's going to be really, really scary and very, very effective, but it's very important that they get that flank. You can't approach it left to right here. I think if you're not going to go with somebody else with another gap closer, they have the damage in the Arthas, but he needs to make sure he makes up for it within his positioning and how he approaches these fights. Otherwise, Tracer will still be a very big problem. Also, if you go for those kind of flanks and Tassadar is able to get the reveal, Tracer will be tracking you down and making sure you're going to have a bad time.
Do you think it's too bad though with the Muradin? The heavy impact into an engage followed up into a Howling Blast on Rhaegar.
It's good
doable.
enough. Yeah, it is doable, but I do think the success for the actual team fight, if they are not blowing them up in that one shot, one kill, the Arthas needs to be flanking, otherwise we'll see Dignitas kite back, recollect, and be able to initiate in a fight that they want with this amount of sustain and the mobility that they have overall. Especially ETC to be able to peel it out on top of it. It's another great way to be able to get that kind of kite and escape that Dignitas is looking for.
But when you look at our Karazims from games to game, this one's far more likely to be seven-sided, and ETC has to be very careful in that situation.
For the point I wanted to discuss personally, because I said, on Kono, I always go Haymaker, right? So you're looking at the displacement factor of, Arthas has to flank, but same with Muradin, he can flank as well, right? So Crowd Surfer or not, I can try and emulate that with that increased range on your Dwarven Toss. So it's all about trying to isolate these members. I'm going to kill you before Tracer can target our backline.
If the Haymaker is picked up, it will be Hunkano to do so, and it can happen. It's much easier to pull off now on the new Muradin. The heavy impact, you step forward, drop the Stormbolt, and then drop down the Haymaker. It used to be you have to jump behind, maybe hit Stormbolt, try to waddle around. It was a little bit difficult to pull off. It is much easier to put a target where you want them to be now with the new mix-up, so maybe we'll get our first Haymaker of the tournament.
I do see a situation, though, where Dignitas just keeps the Dahaka for the side pressure, keeps the split push. The tri-lane between Tempest is not going to be as effective as I think that they want it to be, and then that you see that long stall out I was talking about before. If we see Dignitas gain any experience, like three-quarter advantage over the first two tributes, I feel like the game will kind of get out of control, because Tempest has to be as a five-man group to be effective in this game, and Dahaka plus Tassadar Rhaegar's wave clear and the global factor is going to be really, really oppressive if they fall behind in Curse.
So then you'd be saying that then Dahaka will just be constantly split pushing, preventing ever like a dream 5v5 team fight, right? The only way that Tempest can really get into this one would be like the boss sort of steal, attempt to sort of skirmish around there.
Yeah, and the biggest thing you're relying on is an initiation then to make up for the Dahaka split pushing. How are you going to do that? Again, if you have Arthas for the Howling Blast, it's unlikely you're going to hit any of those, like a Tassadar or a Tracer. And then Muradin, he is a lot better than he was before, but it still is a bit of a risk.
All right, time to find out who's going to win, who is going to be able to move on to the winners match here in this full best of 3. Let's head over to the commentary team.
3 games, 3 Tracers, but this time it's Snitch who will be playing Tracer, zipping around the battlefield. What do you think? Who's got it?
It scares me a bit, I guess, that early the counter picks on the side of Tempest weren't what I thought they would be, so I think there's going to be counterplay on both sides. I think, of course, Zelia is going to be a big X factor here on the Dahaka, the global, so the side of Dignitas does intrigue me a bit more in terms of the battleground, so we'll see how it plays out.
You think we're going to have a mosh pit or a stage dive for just
I was thinking that.
Control?
I don't know. I'm trying to look at, you have the potential Stormbolt if he's in position. You have Detainment Strike, Rain of Vengeance. We'll see if he is threatened by those. Maybe we'll wait and see if Rain of Vengeance picked up. Then we'll go. Gonna find out.
Well, let's get this thing started. We only have 1 game left to figure out if Team Dignitas or if Tempest will be joining Roll20 in the winner's match of the group. It is such a big advantage to be able to go to that match. The loser of this will have to fight their way back and has no way of being the #1 seed getting out of the group. We're headed to Cursed Hollow for Game 3.
Excited to see what Dignitas can do here. Bakery transitioning over from Karazim to the dog known as Rhaegar. JPL is going to be rocking that ETC one more time. Mene saw some killer force walls last game, by the way. Going to be on Tassadar Snitch, as you said. Going to be on Tracer. And Zelia, of course, rounding it out with Dahaka.
Still very strange to me to see Mene playing a support, but he has adapted to the meta, the true flex, the true team player. In the red, Team Tempest. We'll have Lockdown playing Ariel, Honkono playing Muradin, and you know what that means. Vala, played by H82, Sign playing Arthas, and Hyde playing Karazim. So the flexing will be put to the test for Tempest, having H82, traditionally a melee player who became famous for his Artanis, playing the hyper carry of Vala.
Be particularly interesting. Use every bit of that shield Snitch as he comes in there, eats a little bit of damage, gets some early damage in return onto that. You know, looking at the builds, Gilly, we got a lot of single target damage. If you can get the lockdown onto that Tracer when she's flanking, we've got the perfect storm, we've got Hungering Arrow. There's a lot of damage potential to blow up an eager Tracer, to say the least.
Yeah, Snitch will have to watch out for that. Make sure the communication is good with Mene when the shielding is available, when the heals are available from Rhaegar.
You know what you got to say, right?
Only Haymaker?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
I need healing.
I need healing. There's no Genji in this game. What are you talking about, J-How?
Still Overwatch.
That's
That's a reach, but I'm going with it.
Ooh, well, Tempest were reaching. They got some damage done to Team Dignitas. But they didn't get any kills yet. No first blood, but it does give them some time, space created. There's the Tainment Strike from Lockdown. It's interesting to see Lockdown being the one to play the Ariel as the Pulse Bomb. The first Pulse Bomb goes down, Recall goes back, but H82 lives.
I want to point out something, because Hyde just mounted up, and conveniently, he's riding a Tempest mount. If you guys are unfamiliar with the history, last summer in the DreamHack Summer in the Global Championship, Tempest just so happened to be Global Champions. Hyde, part of that team.
Oh, what an interesting point there, J-How, because in fact, all 3 of the Korean teams here at HGC Finals are Global Champions. We had MVP Black from the spring, and then summer was Tempest, fall was, of course, Ballistics. So they all have those names to live up to, but they're a little bit different, all of them, and the rosters. Here we've got H82, and then Honkono is back from them. Sign, who was on MVP Black all of last year, joining up with Tempest, and it was slow goings for a while for Tempest to adapt to this roster, but they have been improving, getting closer and closer to the top 2 teams from the region all the time.
Oh, really good detainment strike there by Lockdown, getting the follow-up, and there's a little bit of that burst damage that I was talking about, using that Hungering Arrow build on Vala, forcing the recall. Sometimes you can just kind of blink away from that, but recognizing the burst damage potential, just kind of recall, and it kind of hinders you for 20-odd seconds at that point. And we'll see Snitch be a little less aggressive because of that.
Now, in case it seems kind of weird to you that you're seeing Karazim go and get a Merc camp, is something that Karazim can do, in that the Eastern region does quite a lot with having Karazim as a secondary support. Trying to use him not only for going and getting Merc camps, but even ganks and lane, as we've seen from Hyde, being very fluid in his motions, in his rotations, trying to see where he can get in and get some damage done on squishy targets.
We've got those Siege Giants that were picked up pushing that bot lane, and as you can see, Tassadar and Tracer stayed in that bot lane despite the curse being in that top mid. However, it was picked up by Dignitas.
Here comes the stock from Dahaka, heard from Tempest, so that'll be a free clear on the Giants. Nice for Dignitas not to take any further damage on the structures. Tempest completely fine with giving up that first tribute. We'll see how if that comes back to haunt them, right? At some point they will have to get aggressive because they allowed Team Dignitas to have that for free.
Aggressive comes at level 7 with this team, that heavy impact at 7, the repeating arrow. You gotta expect Tempest will be contesting from here on out when this composition really starts to come online. We have the next tribute spawning here momentarily, bot left. That is on a little bit friendly side for Dignitas. We see Snitch eating a bit of damage there. See how Tempest approaches this, as they are already in position, hiding in bush. See if they can get some stacks on that Q there for Honkono.
Yeah, even though the positioning does favor Team Dignitas, it is scary to give up 2 in a row when you're looking at level 10, but they might have to because Hyde has been hit. The power slide perfect. He nearly goes down, and the pulse bomb, but not quite.
Not quite, but he's still in position. The parting gift going in. He manages to get off a heel right as Snitch goes in for the kill shot. Unable to confirm it. Hyde getting the channel for the moment. The face melt knocked back by JPL is going to draw this out a little bit longer. We'll see if Tracer can build up another pulse bomb, or whether we'll see Dignitas just kind of idle by and maybe stay back and give this one up.
Tempest still continuing to channel, trying to stay spread out as they can, and they'll get the tribute. But watching the team group for things like Ario heals, for Karazim heals, and going through choke points just makes me even more scared for the potential mosh pits of Team Dignitas. We theorized maybe they were going to try to have the double global for stage dive, but man, it just seems so good to be able to have mosh pit. But there are a lot of different ways for people to interrupt it. Rain of Vengeance would be one. Muradin can interrupt with Stormbolt. Just depends if Tempest wants, or if Team Dignitas feels like they can still land a mosh pit despite that.
You bring up some good points. The way that they're grouping it on Cursed Hollow, there are some really, really narrow choke points. We'll see how it goes. We have our third tribute spawning here, and so far we've seen it mostly uncontested in terms of a 5 versus 5. I'm not sure if we'll get it here, but we got a little bit of action going on as Lockdown taking a lot of pressure there from Snitch, who's going to land the pulse. So I'm going to get the takedown, and H82 in a bad spot. He's going to go down as that confirms the kill. We might be rotating over for an early boss here.
And that was a fantastic rotation from Team Dignitas to bring into Hawkeye, have Snitch come in from the side, or Bakery come in from the side. They get the 2 kills, they'll go for the boss, they have a level lead, but Tempest at least gets a tribute. That's going to help them out somewhat, but now they need to make sure they can catch up with Team Dignitas on the race to level 10 and heroic abilities.
And I really wonder if Dignitas is going to try and make the double boss play with that 10-tier advantage that will inevitably be coming, but, you know, we will have that next tribute that will be spawning, see if that, you know, top, bottom, because it is on the new rotation, things like that. Dignitas, they're going to make a play. Let's see what they do. They're already rotating up hard. JPL staying bottom, which could signify that we might be getting a stage dive. He stays bottom, he soaks. Looks like they're going to play a little bit more cautiously. I don't know, Dahaka's rotating over. He has started the boss at least momentarily, or is zoning. He started it.
He started it. There's a tribute spawning that's sort of far away from that, but ETC is still down and around there. No stage dive, it is mosh pit. Dignitas just damaging on all fronts. They used the bruisers that they got to allow them to make the aggressive rotation to get the 2 kills, go back and get the boss, and then rejoin back up to take down towers. And they're even working on a fort. They send Rhaegar back. Bakery picks up this tribute. Won't be a curse yet, but it does put them on curse point.
It does put them on curse point, and you got to imagine that Dignitas is going to be trying like hell to get 13 before that next one, have that talent tier advantage, which is why they pushed on that fort, trying to get that structure damage, seeing how far they can take it before Tempest hit 10. They didn't quite get the fort, didn't quite get that edge, and we'll see what happens going into the next tribute, because the next tribute will be cursed for one of these teams.
Dignitas is like a clock right now as they are rotating it just everywhere they need to be at once. Force wall splits apart, Tempest pulse bomb hits, Rain of Vengeance hits a whole bunch, but out of that we have the mosh pit, and Volley is pulled into the clutches of Dignitas and she drops.
JPL eating shots from that fort there, and he's not able to survive as that's a 1-for-1 trade, and an unlikely 1-for-1 trade. It looks like they're looking for more. Azalea taking damage, but he's got another tongue there. He's pulling Honkono back. Nice force wall going in as well, locking him in. That's not going to be enough to confirm the kill, though.
Keep your eyes on Honkono, because the only Haymaker Muradin has arrived on the scene of the HGC Finals. There's no avatar to keep him safe, no third wind at level 1. This is full-on aggression, full-on aggro of Muradin from Honkono.
Really, I'm disappointed. It's not just only Haymaker, it's only Haymaker.
Oh, you're right. I didn't have the knock. That's on me. You're right.
All right, we've got a very even fight here, 12-11, no threat of 13 anytime soon. JPL's going to check the bush for the moment, and Snitch has a primary target as we see that H82 locked in from the force wall. We're going to have a hard reset here as these teams looking to fight. One of these will get the curse after this. See what they can do. Force wall lock in a few more members.
No mosh pit still for 49 seconds. That sets Team Dignitas back a little bit, but they have isolation up in a few. Honkono will be the one to start the channel. Sign flanks off to the side, trying to be the one to zone away. Curse will be achieved by somebody. Is it Tempest? Can anyone stop it? The Psionic Storm will reset the channel again.
The mid fort is dangerously low, as is the top, which could give him the edge for 13 and really turn this fight. The Crystal Aegis is out. We see the engagement there. The Ancestral has landed as well. Army of the Dead out. Mene on the backside, trying to regroup with this team. Looking for this. He's going to try and interrupt this one more time. See if they can get 13 in the meantime. Turn this. Mosh pit still 10 seconds away, Gilly.
Both of the defensive cooldowns are not available for Tempest as Honkono brought in. Power Slide keeps him there. Rain of Vengeance hoping that they could save Murden. Tempest get the curse, but how much will they lose at what cost?
It's such a huge loss right now. This is the curse against them. There is no ammo there. They're going to get the power side. That is 3 members down. They're going to push in even harder now. Dignitas turning that fight, and now not only does Tempest get 0 value out of the curse, it resets their tribute count to 0 and puts them in a terrible spot as Dignitas has stretched this to a little over a 2-level lead.
This might be the moment we look back on as the checkmate for Team Dignitas. It doesn't look like it now. Yeah, Tempest were the ones to get the curse, but they're going to basically not be able to do anything with it. The Giants in top did a lot. They pushed in the mid, they took out that fort too. Now 1 boss is up, so they can start looking at a boss play. There are so many options for Team Dignitas. They even have Dahaka back in the bottom lane, pushing that back too. Tempest may have had 3 tributes, but they get absolutely nothing.
They get nothing, and you talked about the bosses. I checked the time. Bottom left boss, just under a minute left before respawning. That top one, of course, will be sitting there. It's going to be idled there. The mosh pit, this power slide didn't quite land there, Gilly. Now they're in a bad spot.
They are. Honkono not flanking fast enough to catch up with Dig, but at least the boss was stopped. Tempest will go right to it.
They're going to go to it. No mosh pit threat now, but it is still 15-12. No 13. The cleanse onto Tracer. Forced to use that recall. They're looking for a fight. The boss sitting at about 60% health. It will be leashed, and rightfully so is Dignitas there with the threat the entire time. Zelia pushing bot lane, and right now Tempest has their eyes on 13. They're going to push in mid.
That was a really fast, decisive decision from Tempest just to move away from the boss. They don't even have 13. They can't get even further behind. So take some free structures, whatever is available, whatever they can grab, and give them 13 for the eventual fight. It pulls Dignitas into the mid too, and now they head right back up to that boss.
The good thing about that is by stalling that, now Dignitas can trade bosses. This makes it much easier decision and okay to give that. Tempest recognizes that because Gilly, 16 will be there for Dignitas. The next tribute will be spawning soon, which means curse plus boss. Dignitas making that call. Now Tempest is going to rotate in. No 16 picked up yet. I think Dignitas making the right call to soft retreat. This is Tempest's best chance for the moment to try and turn this game around.
Tempest doing what they are known to do, which is try to find the fight that will get them back into this game. Haymaker was used, pushing back ETC momentarily. 33 seconds until mosh pit is up. Not a lot of boss control for either side with that mosh pit down, but JPL could push people off the point. He will go in, but he goes right back out and Tempest steal the boss.
Zelia trying to get away there. The heavy impact coming in as Zelia walking away, using that essence to heal up, and Dignitas concedes the boss without that 16 threat. That call by Tempest was phenomenal. They have kept themselves in the game. They've neutralized a lot of the battleground control. An absolutely amazing macro decision there by Tempest.
And they have to keep going with that. They have sieged a lot of the sport, and the boss should be able to finish that off. But 16 is available for Team Dignitas, and that is an opportunity for attack.
Oh, Tracer playing with fire there. The force wall is going to be there. The Haymaker is going to create a little bit of room. Pulse bomb gonna miss as well. Honkono going to walk away. Things not looking good for Dignitas over the last minute or so, and all the credit in the world goes to Tempest. By the way, Gilly, we've got a tribute up top, and that has concluded with a Dignitas versus Tempest standoff between Dahaka and Arthas.
Yeah, but the way that Dignitas pushed Tempest all the way down, defending at their fort, lets Dignitas get here with more of their reinforcements faster. Zelia gets stopped again. Dignitas making an aggressive pathway up. They want to stop any rotations there. They want to get this curse, and they will get it.
H82 in all kinds of trouble there as the force wall locked him in for the moment, unable to confirm the kill as there was no pulse bomb available for Tracer, and now they're pushing in with the minions in the top lane. Talent tier advantage. Snitch building up that pulse bomb. He now has it. I believe he should have it now. He's going to look to try and make a play, use the recall to get out. If they get it, it's great. If not, they will retreat. Here it goes.
44 seconds where this keep will do nothing to aid in the defense of Tempest. And Tempest will stand anyway. Without 16, without the keep's help, they're still trying to keep it from going down from Team Dignitas. And so far, the posturing is paying off. But the minions go down in the blink of an eye with the Psionic Storms. And Dignitas are unrelenting, opening up a win condition if they can bring down this keep.
The discipline of Snitch to hold onto the pulse bomb as the threat allows them to posture up onto this keep. Yes, they had curse, but if there was no pulse bomb, you could easily see Tempest try and defend aggressively. Instead, they've had to kind of fall back defend without 16. They're holding on now. Dignitas rotated over to the middle. Remember, the top boss is a point of contention on the side of Tempest. Dignitas likely to stay here. Honkono going in.
Honkono's going in, and Sign's right behind him if he can be. But the force walls are an ever-looming threat against Tempest to split the team apart, split apart the front lines. And Honkono's still a fairly weak target because he did take Haymaker, not Avatar, and Sign is too, especially if he uses Army of the Dead too early on or his Icebound Fortitude. Those force walls have to be a constant presence in the minds of Tempest and how they set up these fights.
You talked about that Psionic Storm. It's doing so much damage. They siege up here. Honkono going again. The force wall going to thwart them off. Snitch, again, has still held on to this. He's looking for a moment, looking for an opportunity. Palm on the other side has thwarted it off, but the threat alone has kept Tempest at bay as they've now postured up aggressively. The stun, nice cleanse, nice ancestral. Bakery coming in to save the day. Don't worry, JP, I got you, bro.
He comes in and he does save the day, but that buys even more space for Tempest if they're getting very close to the moment of attack. Level 16, that talent tier. That will be huge for them. A lot more damage or control for Vala too, depending on what she gets. Psionic Storm, the double storm. Double keep as the 16 comes online for Tempest.
16's online, Gillian, and I think right now, Tempest, they might start to get a little bit desperate. We saw them with the great boss steal on the side of Dignitas, and now they're looking at their own boss. And this might be the best opportunity they'll have. There's no curse coming anytime soon. Level 20, dangerously close for Dignitas if they let this game play out. So they're making the boss call.
Honkono dives in, doesn't get the Storm Bolt Snitch. Similarly, the drag misses. Cleansing touch there as Hyde jumps on top, and Honkono will go in once again, this time with the Dwarf launch all the way on the members of Team Dignitas, who are retreating further and further back. This is a place where Tempest are on the same talent tier for Dignitas, and it's the best chance for a fight Tempest would be able to get. Dig doesn't want to give any map control to Tempest. They do have the fort in the top lane, but they don't want to allow anything to push back toward them, especially where they have catapults starting to build up in that lane. But it's also a good place for Tempest to fight, so Dig have to play this cautiously.
They definitely have to play it cautiously. Nice face melt there, thwarted off the Honkono. Dwarf toss coming in, but the slow onto ETC is keeping him from peeling there. Core has taken damage down to 91%. Down to 85. Core, the catapults are mounting. The catapults are taking damage. Snitch looking to try and make a play. The Hungering Arrow in return. The Detainment Strike as well. Everything Dignitas has done to stall this out without the hard engage, Gilly, has been magnificent.
Yeah, genius from Team Dignitas. They don't want to give the boss to Tempest. They also don't want to let Tempest go back. So they keep Tempest just leashing it over and over again, but they never allow for the hard engage. Tempest are running out of options now. They take 50 or down to 58% of their core just for free. And then finally, when Tempest go back to defend, Dignitas get the boss. And now this is just about the end of the game. Tempest have one shot now.
They have to fight in the lane. They have to fight in the lane. You cannot try and defend at the core. You've taken too much damage on the core. They're going to try and poke away here. Poke away. They're going to try and take the fight behind it. Nice face melt one more time. The force wall not able to lock anybody in. They're continuing the pressure up. Vala with that Q build starting to get some damage on. The Rain of Vengeance in return. The core is taking down to 30%. This looks like Dignitas will be able to do it.
There's an isolation on Arthas. They just didn't do enough but damage to the boss, and now the full force of Dignitas and the boss are on the core. It goes down so fast. Tempest lose the game. Dignitas with some brilliant decision making and baiting of Tempest, baiting what Tempest likes to do. Team fighting, never giving it to them. Team Dignitas will go on to face Roll 20.
A masterful game at just the top level. If we look at all three games, you can look back at the medevac call and say that, hey, that was sloppy, but it was ingenious at the time. It didn't work out because Tempest had a great response. Game 2, Game 3, these teams are at the top of their game, making macro calls that you just don't see at any other level of HGC, and that was a phenomenal series there between Dignitas and Tempest.
Yeah, so well done. Lots of different plays on core from Team Dignitas, and that is a threatening force to have to think about for any team who has to go up against them in the future. Let's head back to the analyst desk and see what they thought about this explosive series.
One thing's for sure, this series did not disappoint. Thank you very much, Gillian J. Howe, for that great commentary as we continue down the line. 2-1 overall for Team Dignitas, and the level of play that we saw, I feel, overall from this series does dwarf a little bit what we've seen so far in the tournament. Could be neatened up a little bit here and there, but still, very, very good start, Trixler.
Yeah, definitely there. I mean, again, I got to shout out Mane, dude. Him on Tassadar with those force walls were almost surgical. I don't think I've seen a player that's been as good. I remember K1 Pro in North America having a great run with Tassadar on force wall, but Mane has been putting in work on that hero. There were moments where he had predicted force walls in the fog of war that were imperative, which were needed for them to make objective plays, and he pulled it off. A great series overall for Dignitas, but Mane for sure.
Other thoughts? I mean, I would agree. I feel like the final game, ultimately for me, I did feel like both teams actually had a couple of moments where very, very questionable. Dignitas was able to kind of reel it back in here with moments and recollect themselves. But specifically, when I looked at Tempest, the opportunity to monk channeling, capturing curse while 3 people are dying in the process, it just really blew the early experience out of the water. And then from that point on, Dignitas just did a good job kind of holding control.
I think it rolls back to me personally, the risk that Tempest took to allow Dignitas to get that map choice off Kirstalo. We know that this is a team that struggle in that macro department. They try and patch it with a significant wave clear in games 1 and 2. Game 3, so let's go full team fight. We go, how do they try and win this one? It's a boss steal. Yeah, they get the boss steal in the bottom lane. Not much of an influence can actually be achieved from that. You know, Dignitas do this bit of a dance. They go get the Curse Tribute. They push, get 2 keeps. Then the same thing once again happens in the top lane where it's a case of Tempest saying we need a fight to happen. It's the only way we can try and get back into this game. Once again, Dignitas, despite being down cooldowns, I think we had no Ancestral. We had, I believe, Baker and little to no mana whatsoever. But they draw enough bait to say, look, Tempest, try and commit to this, run away, and then you've got catapults and giants and whatever it might be on that core. It's falling down, and you get putting into this sort of a checkmate situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, we can head over to the stage now as Kevin is with Bakery from Dignitas.
Thanks so much, James. That's right. I'm here with none other than James Baker himself. Bakery captain and support player for Team Dignitas. Congratulations on your win. Obviously, this is a huge confidence-building win for your team. But let's talk a little bit about that game 1. You guys pulled out that medevac strat. Was that loss more a tribute to Tempest's patience against a strat like that, or were there some executional struggles on your side? What were your thoughts there?
That's not a comp we've played too often with the Folstad. It's not something we played very often at all, actually, but we thought it was a really cool strategy to bring out to, like, give us the advantage in the series, especially if we take the win. And it didn't quite work out that way. So we slightly mis-executed on the initial attempt to go core. And then from that point, they were kind of 2 levels up, and we didn't really know what to do because we haven't been in that situation before. So they played it really well, especially forcing the core.
It was a fascinating game to watch for sure. Now, Korea and Europe are 2 regions we know are touted as the strongest right now going into this tournament. So much so that all the European teams boot camped in Korea prior to this tournament. I want to hear your thoughts on that. We got to speak a bit about it during Media Day, but what were the benefits of a boot camp like that for your team, and were there any potential drawbacks to that decision as well? Just interested in getting your thoughts.
So going to Korea was definitely a difficult decision. We weren't sure if they would be better or if we'd be teaching them a lot by going there. But on balance, we felt like the best European team would win this tournament unless Korea was stronger. And so we decided to go there as 3. If they weren't very good, then we could keep a lot of our strats practicing with each other. But as it turns out, Korea's really good at this event. So watch out for them.
Fair enough. Okay, so you advance to the winner's match. Roll 20. I got to get your thoughts. What is your plan of attack against the NA team?
I mean, NA traditionally isn't as strong a region, but I do think at this event, this is the strongest they've been since way back in 2015. And Roll 20 does look to be the strongest of all of them. They did have a few issues, just as we did in their series earlier, so it'd be an interesting one for sure. I think we're feeling pretty confident.
All right, Bakery. Well, good luck. I'll let you get ready for that match.